Hello beer fans, today's beer comes from the Salt Beer Factory. It's a microbrewery based in Saltaire. Interesting point about Saltaire, it was built in 1851 by mill owner Sir Titus Salt. He basically took all these mills from Bradford and brought them out to this land, built a village, called it Saltaire. Salt, because it's called Sir Titus Salt, and air because it's by the river air. But interestingly, there was no alehouses allowed. Obviously, he had these mills, he wanted to be as productive as possible, and he just thought that if mill workers started drinking, then they probably wouldn't be as productive as they could possibly be. So it's interesting, no alehouses, but today's a couple of really nice breweries coming out of Saltaire, Salt being one of them. Hi, I'm Andy, this is Andy's Beer Reviews, and the beer we are reviewing today is this one. This is the Hexagon Project number 3. It's a 12.3% Imperial Porter. It's part of a series of small batch beers. This one is a barrel-aged Baltic Porter, bought it for about £7 from Yorkshire Craft Beers in Castleford, my local bottle shop. Always get to a bottle shop if you can. You can't find stuff in the supermarket because the guys that run these places really are quite knowledgeable and quite good to talk to and learn a little bit more about the beers. So this is aged in whiskey barrels, and the whiskey barrels come from an Australian whiskey company called Starward, and they brew them in red wine vats, and then they brew their whiskey, and then it all gets, once it's been drunk, comes over to the UK and Salt pick it up and they brew their beer in it. Interestingly, it's probably because of the strength of it, it does suggest that this can is intended for sharing. I think the idea with these is that, particularly these stronger strength ones, is you get a couple of friends, 2 or 3, 4 friends, something like that, and you share your beer with them. But I'm not sharing, I'm going to drink it all. So without further ado, let's get it out of the can, into a glass, see what we've got. So this is a Baltic Porter. Baltic Porters are brewed slightly differently than the traditional ones here in the UK. They tend to be a little bit smoother, so the smoother roast character to them. They're brewed with a lager yeast. And so that just helps with that smoothness. It just makes them the taste profile on them slightly different. So some of the coffee and chocolate taste can be a little bit muted. It can bring a little bit crisper, cleaner flavours through. So that's poured, no head, almost jet black. And I'm seeing a tiny little bit of carbonation there, but not a great deal. Let's get the nose in there, let's see what it smells like. Whiskey's in there, smell that. So no, it's not had whiskey added to it, it's just been matured in whiskey oak barrels. So whiskey's in there, it's quite mild. There's also some woody, so you get that woody, smoky nature to the whiskey coming out of it as well. But there's also some roasted malts I'm smelling in there. You need traditional coffee and chocolate aromas as well, but they're very muted. Smells nice. Let's taste it. Cheers, everybody. It's nice. Whiskey's there. I'm not a big whiskey fan personally, so flavour's not too overpowering from that perspective. So it's quite nice. There's also some dark fruits in there as well. When you initially drink it, it's very reminiscent of a Christmas pudding. So you got that alcohol, you got those dark fruits in there. Now I don't know if it's just because I know in the barrels originally was some red wine. I am picking up some fruitiness, and my brain is saying it's the flavour of red wine. yeah, I'm picking up that almost like I said, I don't know if it's subconscious because there's been red wine in there, but it has got that red wine. Used to drink a lot of wine back in the day, and I am definitely getting that flavour coming through. And there's a nice at the back end. There's a nice, almost caramel finish to it. It's almost that sweet caramelly finish to it. It's not bitter. A little bit bitterness actually coming through now on that sit there, but not a great deal. It's not a bitter drink at all. It's very warming. It's very rich. Like I said, it's got that fruit cake essence to it. So it is rich. It's quite intense. It's not as creamy as I was expecting. I was expecting quite a creamy, luxurious drink, and it's not got that creaminess in there. And like most of these barrel-aged porters and stouts, it's a sipping drink. But that's nice. That's very nice. So that gets a score for me of 8 out of 10. Cheers.